This is Tom Porcelli, Chief U.S. Economist at PGIM, Fixed Income. And I just wanted to give a couple of quick comments around today's FOMC meeting. Look, I think that it was unequivocally dovish. It started with the dots that showed 3 cuts for next year. They showed 2 in the last go around. This is something that we had expected. I think if you look at, or if you listen to Powell over the course of his commentary, he tried so hard to avoid talking about cuts, but he was just being peppered with questions around it. So he had no choice. He had to relent at some point. And I think he made 2 really interesting comments. The very first comment was, he said, look, we're not really talking about cuts, but, we recognize that Fed officials have cuts priced in. So we recognize that it's going to be a conversation that we have down the road. And that's all well and fine. We get it. I don't think he wants to sort of, add any additional momentum to market pricing for cuts at this point. But then toward the end of the press conference, someone asked him about inflation and what that meant for cuts. And what he specifically said was that he does not see the Fed waiting until inflation gets 2%, because at that point it would be too late, that it would cause more economic damage. I think, look, he made a comment like that, similar to that, a few meetings back. But when he said it back then, it was sort of like it almost felt like a throwaway line. But this go around, you could tell like he was trying to be a little more thoughtful around the idea. And the fact that he sort of presented it again, I think is, sort of all the evidence that you need that, the first cut is going to happen sooner than later. We continue to expect the second quarter, we'll see that cut. And I think everything that happened today, I think, is very consistent with that.